Next sutta is 35.236. Buddha said, monks, when there are hands, picking up and putting down are discerned, are seen. When there are feet, coming and going are discerned. When there are limbs, bending and stretching are discerned. When there is the belly, hunger and thirst are discerned. So too monks, when there is the eye, pleasure and pain arise internally with eye contact as condition. When there is the ear, pleasure and pain arise internally with ear contact as condition. Similarly, when there is nose, also pleasure and pain arise. When there is tongue, pleasure and pain arise. When there is body, pleasure and pain arise. When there is mind, pleasure and pain arise internally with contact as condition. When monks, there are no hands, picking up and putting down are not discerned. When there are no feet, coming and going are not discerned. When there are no limbs, bending and stretching are not discerned. When there is no belly, hunger and thirst are not discerned. So too monks, when there is no eye, no pleasure and pain arise internally with eye contact as condition. When there is no ear, no pleasure and pain arise internally. When there is no nose, when there is no tongue, when there is no body, when there is no mind, no pleasure and pain arise internally with contact as condition. That's the end of the sutta. So the six sense organs is the cause for pleasure and pain to arise. So if we continue to have the six sense organs, then pleasure and pain we continue to experience. So when you understand that the suffering is not worth the pleasure that you get, then only you become disenchanted with the six sense bases. Because however much pleasure you can get from the six sense bases, is never enough, never satisfied. And yet the pain when you experience through the six sense bases, the pain is unbearable. So that's why I say the pain that you experience is not worth the pleasure that you get out of the six sense bases. One day when we realize it, then we become disenchanted. The next sutta is quite a famous sutta, 35.238. Monks, suppose there were 4 vipers of fierce heat and deadly venom. Then a man would come along wanting to live, not wanting to die, desiring happiness and averse to suffering. They would tell him, good man, these 4 vipers are of fierce heat and deadly venom. From time to time they must be lifted up. From time to time they must be bathed. From time to time they must be fed. From time to time they must be laid to rest. But if one or another of these vipers ever becomes angry with you, then, good man, you will meet death or deadly suffering. Do whatever has to be done, good man. Then monks, afraid of the 4 vipers of fierce heat and deadly venom, that man would flee in one direction or another. And they would tell him, good man, 5 murderous enemies are pursuing you, thinking, wherever we see him, we will take his life right on the spot. Do whatever has to be done, good man. Then monks, afraid of the 4 vipers of fierce heat and deadly venom, and of the 5 murderous enemies, that man would flee in one direction or another. They would tell him, good man, a 6th murderer and intimate companion is pursuing you with drawn sword, thinking, wherever I see him, I will cut off his head right on the spot. Do whatever has to be done, good man. Then monks, afraid of the 4 vipers of fierce heat and deadly venom, and of the 5 murderous enemies, and of the 6th murderer, the intimate companion with drawn sword, that man would flee in one direction or another. He would see an empty village. Whatever house he enters is void, deserted, empty. Whatever pot he takes hold of is void, hollow, empty. He would tell him, good man, just now, village attacking dacoits will raid this empty village. Do whatever has to be done, good man. Then monks, afraid of the 4 vipers of fierce heat and deadly venom, and of the 5 murderous enemies, and of the 6th murderer, the intimate companion with drawn sword, and of the village attacking dacoits or bandits, that man would flee in one direction or another. He would see a great expanse of water whose near shore was dangerous and fearful, and whose further shore was safe and free from danger. But there would be no ferry boat or bridge for crossing over from the near shore to the far shore. Then the man would think, there is this great expanse of water whose near shore is dangerous and fearful, but whose further shore is safe and free from danger. But there is no ferry boat or bridge for crossing over. Let me collect grass, twigs, branches, and foliage, and bind them together into a raft, so that by means of that raft, making an effort with my hands and feet, I can get safely across to the far shore. Then the man would collect grass, twigs, branches, and foliage, and bind them together into a raft, so that by means of that raft, making an effort with his hands and feet, he would get safely across to the far shore. Stand crossed over, gone beyond, the Brahmana stands on high ground. I have made up this simile, monks, in order to convey a meaning. I stop here before I explain what the Buddha says. So this man, 4 vipers, very poisonous, he has to take care of these 4 vipers. They are thrust onto him, and he has to lift them up from time to time. They must be bathed from time to time. They must be fed. They must be given some rest and all that. And if you make any one of them angry, once they bite you, either you die or you'll be half dead, suffering from so much pain. And then on top of that, 5 enemies are chasing him. And if they catch up with him, they will take his life. So he has to run. But he has to carry these 4 vipers on his body. They have already put around his body. And then he hears that a 6th murderer, an old friend, is also chasing him, wanting to kill him. So he has to run again. Then he comes to a village. And that village is deserted. Nobody, all the houses are empty. He enters, every house also empty. And then even when he goes to the kitchen, takes up all the pots, also empty. And then suddenly he hears some bandits will come and raid this empty village. And then he's afraid of the bandits. They may kill him. Then he runs again. Then he keeps running until he comes to water. And this side is very fearful. So many people want to kill him. Even the snake also can kill him. The other side, the other shore is safe. So he collects grass and twigs and branches and leaves and binds them into a raft. And making great effort with his hands and feet, he managed to cross over to the other shore where it's safe. I have made up this simile, monks, in order to convey a meaning. This is the meaning here. The 4 vipers of fierce heat and deadly venom. This is a designation for the 4 great elements. The earth element, water element, heat element, the air element. Let's stop here for a moment. So these 4 vipers is actually our own body. Our own body is made up of these 4 elements. And we have to take care of our body. We have no choice. We have to bathe our body. We have to feed our body. We have to brush our teeth. Go and do our toilet. And if we don't take proper care of the body, if we have too much wind, then we will suffer. If we have too much heat, for example, you take too much curry, and then also you will suffer. Or if the weather is no good, also you will suffer. And to the extent that you may even die if you don't take proper care of your body. So these 4 vipers represent our body, the 4 elements in our body. The 5 murderous enemies, that is a designation for the 5 aggregates of attachment. That is, the body aggregate, the feeling aggregate, perception aggregate, volition aggregate, consciousness aggregate. Stop here for a moment. So these 5 aggregates that we attach to as I and mine, they are also murderous enemies. Why? Because we attach to them, then when the body dies, the body and the mind dies. We don't think that the body dies. You think I die, right? So by attaching to them, they murder us lah. When we die, it's not that the five aggregates die lah. We think I die. That's why they are our murderous enemies lah. This we read before in a previous sutta. Venerable Sariputta giving this simile, this as parable to Venerable Yamaka. The sixth murderer, the intimate companion with drawn sword. This is a designation for delight and lust. I'll stop here for a moment. This delight and lust, because of delight and lust, we think we enjoy, we are happy, we enjoy the world. So this delight and lust is intimate companion. But because of delight and lust, we have the self. Once you delight in things of the world, you think I enjoy. So that I, the ego, the conceit arises. So once you have the conceit, when the body dies, you feel I die. So this delight and lust is also a murderer. Because you attach to delight and lust, you feel that one day I die. The empty village, this is a designation for the six internal sense bases. Six internal sense bases are our six organs. If monks, a wise, competent, intelligent person, examines them by way of the eye, they appear to be void, hollow, empty. If he examines them by way of the ear, nose, tongue, body and mind, they appear to be void, empty, hollow. So this empty village are our six sense organs. If you look into our six sense organs, there is no self, there is no anything that is permanent, there is no core. So that's why it's called the empty village. Village attacking the dacoits, this is a designation for the six external sense bases. The eye, monks, is attacked by agreeable and disagreeable forms. The ear is attacked by sounds, the nose attacked by odors, the tongue attacked by taste, the body attacked by touch, and the mind attacked by thoughts. So these six sense objects here called this external sense bases. They keep attacking us, impinging on our six sense bases, and giving rise to pleasant and unpleasant feelings. So that's why they are called village attacking bandits. They attack the village, the empty village, the six sense organs. The great expanse of water, this is a designation for the four floods. Flood of sensuality, the flood of existence, the flood of views, and the flood of ignorance. This flood we have to cross. Give up sensuality, give up the craving for existence, give up all views, and give up ignorance. Then we have to, this is the great expanse of water, then we have to cross. The near shore, which is dangerous and fearful, this is a designation for identity or identity view. Once you have an identity view, you identify yourself with the body and the mind, then it is dangerous and fearful. You always feel you have to protect this self from the moment we are born until we die, or every day we are trying to protect the self. The further shore, which is safe and free from danger, that is a designation of our Nibbana. That is our goal of the holy life. The raft, this is a designation for the Noble Eightfold Path. That is right view, right thoughts, right speech, right action, right livelihood, right effort, right recollection, and right concentration. Making an effort with hands and feet, this is a designation for arousing of energy. That means you make effort to cultivate the Noble Eightfold Path. That is struggling with your hands and feet. Cross over, gone beyond. The Brahmana stands on high ground. This is a designation for the Arahant. The Brahmana, the meaning is a holy man. He stands on safe ground. That's the Arahant who is liberated. So this sutta is quite interesting. As we go through life, we are being chased by all these murderers. That's why every day we are so frightened. Every day we are trying to protect ourselves. So we are scheming, a lot of people to earn your livelihood, how to make enough money to survive, always thinking. So that is life. The next sutta, 35.239. Monks, by possessing three qualities, a monk lives full of happiness and joy in this very life, and he has laid a foundation for the destruction of the asavas. What are the three? He is one who guards the doors of the sense faculties, who is moderate in eating, and who is devoted to wakefulness. This one, we have come across another sutta which mentions exactly these three things. When monk told, I think Venerable Sariputta, that his Kuti companion has disrobed, and the Buddha, then the Venerable Sariputta says, it's natural for him to disrobe because he never cultivate these three things. So these three things are very important. And how monks is a monk one who guards the doors of the sense faculties. Here, having seen a form with the eye, a monk does not grasp its signs and features, since if he left the eye faculty unrestrained, evil, unwholesome states of covetousness and grief, here it says displeasure, might invade him. He practices the way of its restraint. He guards the eye faculty. He undertakes the restraint of the eye faculty. Similarly for the other sense bases. So here, one who guards the doors of his sense faculties, when an external object, in this case for the eye is the form, when you see a form, practicing monk should not take too much notice of its general signs and its detailed features. If you start observing too clearly, then feelings arise and unwholesome states arise in the mind. So if he did not restrain the eye faculty, evil, unwholesome states of covetousness and grief might invade him. This covetousness means when he sees something pleasant, he craves for it, he wants to possess it, that is covetousness. And if he cannot get it, then he will have grief. Here it says displeasure. So either he is greedy for that thing, the object of the six sense bases, or if he cannot get it, then grief will invade his mind. So if he doesn't want these two states, unwholesome states of covetousness and grief, then he restrains the sense faculties. Suppose monks, a chariot harnessed to thoroughbreds, was standing ready on even ground at a crossroads, with a goad on hand. Then a skillful trainer, a charioteer of horses to be tamed, would mount it, and taking the reins in his left hand and the goad in his right, would drive away and return by any route he wants, whenever he wants. So too, a monk trains in protecting these six sense faculties, trains in controlling them, trains in taming them, trains in pacifying them. It is in this way, monks, that a monk guards the doors of the sense faculties. Let's stop here for a moment. So here, the Buddha has given a very beautiful simile. Just like a skillful horse driver, he gets up on the chariot and he can control the horses so well, they can go any direction he wants, any speed he wants. So similarly, the Buddha says we should control our six sense organs so that they are tame, so that they listen to us instead of being uncontrolled. Usually, for a lot of people, our six sense organs are uncontrolled because of habit. And how monks is a monk moderate in eating. Here, reflecting wisely, a monk takes food neither for amusement nor for intoxication, nor for the sake of physical beauty and attractiveness, but only for the support and maintenance of this body, for ending discomfort and for assisting the holy life, considering, thus I shall terminate the old feeling and not arouse a new feeling, and I shall be healthy, blameless, and live in comfort. Stop here for a moment. Here, terminate. So when he eats food, it's just to terminate the old feeling of hunger and not arouse a new feeling of greed. Just as a person anoints a wound only for the purpose of enabling it to heal, or just as one greases an axle only for the sake of transporting a load, so a monk reflecting wisely takes food for assisting the holy life. It is in this way, monks, that a monk is moderate in eating. Stop here for a moment. So here, a person who practices moderation in eating, how can we say what? Chu liang. Then he understands that the food we take is only for a purpose of maintaining our body, so that we can live a useful life, a skillful life, and not become greedy on account of food. And how monks is a monk devoted to wakefulness? Here during the day, while walking back and forth and sitting, a monk purifies his mind of obstructive states. In the first watch of the night, while walking back and forth and sitting, he purifies his mind of obstructive states. In the middle watch of the night, he lies down on the right side in the lion's posture, with one foot overlapping the other, mindful and clearly comprehending, after noting in his mind the idea of rising. After rising in the last watch of the night, while walking back and forth and sitting, he purifies his mind of obstructive states. It is in this way, monks, that a monk is devoted to wakefulness. Monks, it is by possessing these three qualities that a monk lives full of happiness and joy in this very life, and he has laid the foundation for the destruction of the asavas. That means attainment of arahanthood. So you see this last part, devoted to wakefulness. A monk's duty actually is to practice meditation. Practically most of the time that he can, most of the daytime, and at night also, except when he has to rest during the middle watch. So the Buddha standard is that his monks only rest for 4 hours during the middle watch, from 10 p.m. until 2 a.m. This is quite a high standard. If our mind is not strong enough, it's very difficult to do that. But if you practice like the Buddha advised, walking and sitting the whole day and much of the night, then the mind becomes concentrated, and we need less sleep. So you see, a monk's lifestyle, according to the Buddha, is to spend his days and nights practicing. Because the Buddha also stressed that he should learn the Sutta and the Vinaya. So whenever he has some time, he should learn the Sutta and Vinaya. But the Buddha says, even when we learn the Sutta and Vinaya, we still have to devote some time to practice meditation, to clear our mind of these unwholesome states. So that is the work of a monk, the lifestyle of a monk, to sit and walk, practice meditation until he can attain good samadhi. When he attains good samadhi, then with the understanding of the suttas, the Buddha's teachings, then he can attain liberation. So these are the two cornerstones of a monk's life: meditation and studying the Sutta Vinaya. Studying of the Sutta Vinaya can be said to be vipassana, because Buddha always stress that you need samatha and vipassana for liberation. Samatha is the cultivation of samadhi, the jhanas. Vipassana is contemplation on the Sutta Vinaya, or sometimes Buddha calls it Dhamma Vinaya. In the suttas, it is defined as the suttas and the Vinaya. So I'll stop here for tonight. Anything to discuss?
Refers to Loba, Puja, and Moha, whereas from Salayatana, Samhita onwards refers to Raga, Dosa, and Moha. So I was wondering why is Buddha use such strong terms as Raga?
I'm not too sure about that, but these two terms seem to be interchangeable in the suttas. But when you talk about lobha, greed, one of the strongest greed we have is raga, lust. Or maybe you can consider lust as an extreme form of greed. Lust not only for sensual pleasure, lust for other things like food.
Maybe one more question. How does idle thought affect down
Say again.
Idle chit-chat, how does it affect down samadhi?
Oh, idle chit-chat. When you start chatting, then when you're finished with the chatting, then it stays in your mind. Stays in your mind. So that's why you start thinking about it. So also it wastes your time. When we cultivate samadhi, we should try to practice it all the time. So the Satipatthana Samyutta, where they explain how to practice Satipatthana, is they give the simile of the most beautiful girl of the land coming out, and then all the men start clapping and shouting, the most beautiful girl, and more men come out. Then they ask her to sing and dance, and when she sang and danced, a lot of men came to clap and see. So ordinary guy came along, and he was caught. He was caught and forced to carry a bowl of oil filled to the brim, and he was told that he has to walk in between the crowd of people with this bowl of oil. And the man walked behind him with a long drawn sword and told him that if he spills the oil, even one drop of it, they will chop off his head. So that being so, he has to pay attention to that oil, that bowl of oil, all the time without, he dare not even look left and right, he dare not look at the beautiful girl. So that is the way the Buddha indicated in this sutta, this simile, how to practice Satipatthana. So when we practice Satipatthana, it is undivided attention on your meditation object and all the time, and that will lead to samadhi. So that's why meditation is a 24 hours a day practice. The mind should always be on the meditation object. That's why Satipatthana, I think the proper translation is intense state of recollection. Intense state of recollection where the mind does not go to anything else. It's all the time on one object. And Satipatthana, if you practice it in the right way, the sutta says it will definitely lead you to samadhi. If you practice it in the wrong way, Satipatthana, you will not attain samadhi. That is given in Satipatthana Samyutta.
In the video watch, they said here, putting a lie down on the right side in the lying posture, with one foot overlapping the other, mindful and clearly comprehending after looking his mind the idea of rising. What does it mean by mindful and clear comprehending after looking the mind?
This one very often the interpretation is not very correct. Actually that word, mindful and clearly comprehending, is sati sampajanya. Sati sampajanya. So sati is recollection of your meditation object. Sampajanya is awareness, mindfulness. So actually the Buddha's teaching in this sutta, that even when a monk goes to rest during the middle watch, he does not really fall asleep. He still practices sati. That's why the first meditation taught by the Buddha was the 32 parts of the body. A monk recites the 32 parts of the body. So when he goes to rest, he still recites the 32 parts of the body. He still keeps the sati. And he tries to maintain his mindfulness by not falling asleep. So he is practicing mindfulness as well as sati, recollection of the meditation object. That's why practicing this way, the Buddha's disciples became mindful 24 hours a day. That's why Arahant is said to be mindful 24 hours a day. He has sati 24 hours a day.
If you do not fall asleep.
They try not to. Of course, if you have not attained very high samadhi, the mind is not strong, the mind will fall asleep. But for the monks who have attained very high samadhi, the mind is so strong, they don't need much sleep. In fact, in the suttas, the Buddha says there are different postures for resting. The You have the lion posture like this one, resting on the right side. Then you have the luxurious posture, resting on the left side. And then you have the ghost posture, like most people sleep with the back on the ground, sleeping with your face facing the sky. That is a ghost posture. But the Buddha says the Tathagata posture is to enter the jhanas. So the Buddha and his Arahant disciples, they don't sleep, they enter jhana. That's how they get their rest. And they enter jhana, they charge their body. It's like charging the battery.
What does it mean by after looking in his mind the idea of life?
That means when he goes to rest, he makes a note that he should get up after 4 hours. And then he maintains his sati sampajanya. He makes a determination, say like, I'll get up after 4 hours. And then he continues with his sati sampajanya. He does not relax on his sati sampajanya even when he sleeps,
I think when monk practices sati sampajanya, or rather satipatthana, he's so withdrawn into his own mind.
Yes.
Which means to say that he should cut away all the thoughts,
Yes.
that he could appear that he's not bothered about things outside him.
Oh, definitely.
It means to say that he lives there, he's not bothered, and when he's cut off, it means to say that he is doing other things, and then he tends to forget about whatever the world is.
Yes, yes. That is when he is practicing. When he is not practicing, he has monks also have got duties. You find in the Vinaya books, during the Buddha's time, the monks built kutis. So that's why, like here in the sutta says that when the monk sees something or hears a sound or smells an odor, he does not grasp at the signs and the features. He does not want to take too much notice. His mind goes inwards. And he cultivates his concentration until it's so strong that anytime the 6 sense objects impinge on his consciousness, his mind is not easily shaken, solid as a rock inside.
And what is mindfulness centered on the body?
Say again?
Mindfulness centered on the body.
Settle on the body. Centered on the body. This mindfulness centered on the body or mindfulness of the body refers to being mindful of the body. But this body can be the physical body, it can also be the breath body. So like anapanasati is mindfulness of the breath body. But why mindfulness of the body or centered on the body is so important? Because if we are not mindful, the mind runs away, right? We start daydreaming. When you start thinking and daydreaming, you forgot that you are sitting here in meditation. You forgot that you are this body, But the moment you are mindful of this body, then the mind cannot run away as long as you are mindful of the body. So it is very important to be mindful of the body, especially when you are practicing meditation and the mind is having a lot of sloth and torpor, and you are almost going to fall asleep. So what you do is you can move your finger, a bit. You do a chant, arahang, 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 arahang. So you move the right finger in synchronization with your chanting. So when you chant arahang, you move the right finger at the same time. When you chant arahang, you move the left finger at the same time. So as long as you are aware of some part of your body, the mind cannot run. So it's a very good way of staying awake. That's why some people use the chanting beats. Because you use the chanting beats, you keep moving your finger, you won't fall asleep. Of course, when you're tired, you stop moving, then you fall asleep. So mindfulness of the body prevents your mind from running away, losing your mindfulness. May stop here for tonight.